up? Last segment, Dutch. This hour is flying by, as always. If you want to join the conversation on Twitter, use the hashtag GetWarriorTough. Dutch is at TheDutchColeman. I'm at WarriorToughPhD. I didn't give out the call-out number because we had so much to talk about, but next week we will. We'll still take the call if you want to go to the website on BBM Global Network. And shout out to those guys doing a great job, as always. Dutch, my question that keeps popping up this week is, hey, Andrew, what defines leadership in 2016? And could you take that first crack at it, Dutch? I know what I think, but I always want to know what you think first.
Well, I'm going to be real. What defines leadership in 2016 is popularity. That's what defines leadership in 2016.
Oh, not necessarily in a good way, right?
Oh, no, it is not. And we go back to the word process again. Even when you're talking about leaders, we know we're in an election cycle here. And we're talking about selecting a leader. There needs to be a process for selecting a leader as well. And when we look at all the data, all the different, again, the returns on the surveys that people do whenever we're in an election cycle, you see certain types of people are elected. And it generally has nothing to do with a process and more to do with emotions. And correct me if I'm wrong on that. It's more about how people feel than
and
process
we have
that has to do with leadership.
There's the science behind it. We talk about this in the book, right? Ground Zero Leadership CEO View. Most people think that they're making a conscious and rational decision when they pick a candidate. Okay, but they're not. In fact, they found out that 99.9% of all your decisions and choices are made outside your consciousness. They're subconscious. Okay, so what's going on or non-conscious? You have been autopilot programming, a meta program, and there's certain beliefs and opinions and truths that you've picked up from the time that you were a kid. You don't even know that those are running in the background and that those are the things that you make the choices non-consciously. And a lot of the reason that you like a candidate or dislike a candidate is because of that program. Like it's not even rational anymore. It's what Dutch just said. It's completely emotional, and it's because you've been programmed that way based on experience, the environment you came up in. And here's the technical term: biopsychosocial. So it's some of it is the genetics, the biology that you have, and your background and your history, and how you're built physically. Some of it is, another third of it is how you process your thoughts and your emotions. And the social part of it, that's the psycho part. The social part is your environment and who you hang out with. And we know that consciousness is contagious, right? So, and there's science behind that. And so you're not even you're picking the candidate outside of your consciousness. You're not even being rational. It is completely emotional. And the ones that win, Dutch, if you look, FDR, he was very charismatic on radio. He knew how to use that medium. JFK, when TV came out, he smoked Nixon because he knew how to use that medium. Reagan was the great communicator, right? Obama knew he's the great orator, and now we're seeing, again, it's all just about, it's the celebrity, taken to the nth level of reality TV.
And you wonder why we get what we get, and people are complaining immediately after they start complaining about when President Clinton was elected. He was the guy that was smooth, that everyone wanted to have a beer with.
Yeah,
and, he could play the saxophone.
He can play the sax. Yes.
Yeah, he was really good with the women and all this. And then so when all these different things happen, and you go, "Well, what do we get here?" Well, you got exactly what you asked for. All the reasons that you elected him, they come out during the job, in the leadership abilities. All those things come out. So you get what you get. So it's the onus is on us, not on the leaders, because we're accepting and we're voting in people for certain reasons. Well, we need to change the reasons we're voting people in. We need to have a process when it comes to selecting these leaders, and it needs to be centered around leadership, not how we feel.
Right, and so it's not just the most charismatic or whatever, the one that gets us sucked in emotionally should win. But and what you just said, I just want to kind of pivot off that real quick, that these things come out. And remember, so the secret life, the private life, and the public life, what is done in secret, those thoughts that you think, the self-talk that you have, the visualizations that you use, those meta programs, they will come out eventually. Okay, so you can't hide what you truly believe. You can't hide who you truly are. It usually ends up coming out at the end. And we see that in Bill Cosby and Tiger Woods and O.J. Simpson, right? So this stuff that comes out, right? And so don't get shocked. And again, don't judge them, because there's nothing uncommon to all mankind. Every one of us is fallible human beings.
Absolutely. I always laugh when politicians are strange. They have all these stats about the number of politicians that get in trouble with the affairs and drugs and different things that we don't really talk about it much. But when those things happen, it's like people are upset when there's already a negative connotation with politicians in general. That doesn't mean all of them are bad, but in our minds we think poorly of them. So instead of changing the game by using character as a major point, we don't. We continue to elect these less than honorable human beings to lead us, and then they falter in these areas, and then we get mad. You know what I'm saying? We get upset.
Right. And I'll say this too, Dutch. The way the system is, it's set up so that if you are honorable and you're of character, you're not even going to run. And if you did, you wouldn't get elected anyway. Right. So, and a lot of people don't know this. I ran for Congress here in South Carolina in 2004, and I lost abysmally. And people were like, man, I would vote for you. It was all, but you really, to play the game the way that it's played to win, you have to go to like the pro-gun crowd and tell them you're pro-guns before lunch and get their money, and then go to the anti-gun crowd after lunch and get their money. And this is why Trump is so attractive right now, and he's so scary to that crowd, because he ain't taking anybody's money, and he just says whatever he wants. He has enough money that he has the freedom to say whatever he wants. Whether he wins or not, it doesn't, I don't even know if he, I mean, of course he likes to win, but if he really did care, he would be a little more judicious in his articulation.
Right. But you know what? He's winning at what wins, and that's all that matters. he's winning. Right. And I hope people out there got that. I'm winning at what wins. Now, maybe if I focus on the issues, then I win. No, that's not what wins.
No, and he's a genius. I got to tell you, he's a genius at it, because people, and this is another thing that we talk about in our book, and if you don't understand how the machine works, everyone's shocked, how could this happen? The human machine loves to hate more than it loves to love. Now, yes, love can overcome all things, but the human machine loves hating more than they love loving. Like, Dutch, you're younger than I am, so maybe you don't remember the show, but who was the character that stands out if I say the show Dallas from the 80s? Do you remember Dallas?
Now, only because I'm a person, I'm a historian.
Right, but who was
J.R. Ewing.
Right, and was he a good guy or a bad guy?
He was a bad guy.
Of course he was a bad guy, yet he's the star of the show. Okay? So now in this reality TV area, right, Celebrity Apprentice or whatever, that first Apprentice, I can tell you, I watched the first one. It wasn't the celebrities. It was Omarosa was the #1 star of the show. She was the evil one. Right?
Yes.
The first Survivor, like 26 years ago, I watched one season of Survivor. That was it. I could tell you who the bad guy was, Richard Hatch. He was the evil one. We love to hate more than we love to love, and the ones that we hate become the superstars. And Trump has tapped into that like a genius, man.
Absolutely. And you can't blame him. I mean, that's what it is. So I laugh when people say, well, he hadn't said this, he hadn't done that, he's been vague. Well, vague wins.
It totally
but did he look good? Did he excite you? Did he entertain you? Because those are the things that win. He's a genius. He's focusing on that, and I'm not mad at him.
No, I'm just looking at it, and in our business, I look at it. I thought, first off, I always said this for years. Politics is show business for ugly people, right? And it's just wrestling, and he's playing it to the hilt, man. And everybody else, I mean, you see some of these other guys, they have no idea that they were in show business. It's kind of like Joe Namath. Joe Namath knew that football was show business back in the day. Don't get mad at Cam Newton because he's doing it.
Right. So what happens is, what happens is when things go wrong, or whether it's Trump or whether it's Cam Newton, when everything goes wrong, we're going to be mad at them as if we didn't accept all this behavior for however long or for whatever period it took them to be placed in that position. We accepted that behavior. We let it be known that was okay. Then when it comes back to bite us in the butt,
then we're
mad at them.
Right.
We're mad at them.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you knew who I was. You knew I was a sore loser.
He told us. He's telling us he's telling us. See, that's the whole thing in this psychology stuff. You could tell people what you're doing and it still works. They still don't believe you. And the more you tell them, the more they don't believe you. Like, hey, man.
Trump said it. Trump said it. Remember, he said, I can shoot someone on Fifth Avenue.
And no one will say nothing. Right.
And we're going to be mad at him if he makes a mistake. If he's elected, he makes a mistake. That kind of points to that. We're going to be mad at him.
Oh, dude, the hour is gone, man. This was fun, bro. We didn't even I still got like 6 more questions. Maybe we'll get to them next week, man.